If you click this video, you're someone who's trying to work harder. But like a lot of people right now, hard work is just something that's uncomfortable. It's something that you don't gravitate towards naturally. It's a lot easier to sit down on the couch and watch some Netflix than it is to start grinding towards a side project of yours. This video won't instantly make you work harder tomorrow, but it'll be a great first step to get you thinking about the right things so that you can make the steps towards being your most productive self. For a bit of context, I'm someone who has simultaneously gone to Stanford grad school, had lead engineer positions at multiple startups, grew this YouTube channel to over 100,000 subscribers, and tried to be someone who still engaged socially with my friends and loved ones. On one hand, I'm no stranger to working hard, but on the other hand, I've also completely burnt out and my body has very much suffered for it. I was diagnosed with 2 autoimmune kidney diseases that took me out for the greater part of a year to 2 years. And right now I'm finally back to a place where I can start pushing myself a little bit more, but with the thought process of knowing that I don't want to burn out again. So in this video, I'm gonna be going over 10 ways that I think you can start working harder than 99% of the people out there without having to burn out. And stick around to the end of the video where I'll go over the science of motivation and how that affects how hard you work. A quote that really resonated with me was, "It takes just as long to prove yourself to yourself as it does to prove yourself to others." It may seem a little bit counterintuitive at first because you're you know your flaws, you know your strengths, and you feel like you'll be able to understand where you're coming from. Your time is your most valuable asset. So it's understandable if that's something that you're really stingy with. When you watch something like Netflix or you watch Hulu or you sit down to watch a sports game, you can almost guarantee that you're gonna feel happy, that you're gonna feel enjoyment out of the activity that you just did. But when you put yourself forward to work hard on a task for an outcome that isn't guaranteed, it can be scary. Because of that lack of guarantee, that's why we get nervous, that's why we don't want to take the initial steps, because we don't want to feel the disappointment of wasting any time or any resources to complete a specific task. So when I say prove yourself to yourself, I mean prove your discipline to get things done, prove your ability to follow through, even through struggles and challenges that come your way. Prove your value and the value that you can add to a team, an organization, or to your own individual projects. This is something that will take time, but you need to build a foundation of trust with yourself so that you can trust that your hard work is something that will pay off. When I first started this YouTube channel, I made a couple faceless videos because I didn't even feel comfortable putting myself on camera. I thought that I just looked awkward, that I didn't look good, and that people would just rather not see my face. But as I built the reps and started to post consistently and got the feedback from the audience that they in fact do want to see me as I am, I started to feel more comfortable and I started to trust myself and my ability to sit in front of a camera and actually get a recording done in a proper amount of time where I can get back to my life after a YouTube video is made. So the first tip for working hard is to prove yourself to yourself. There's another saying that goes something like, if you're not happy before the success, you won't be happy after the success. How I interpret this quote is, if you keep worrying about the destination and the end result when it comes to your happiness, your fulfillment, and everything that you strive for, then you'll never truly be happy. Because once you reach that next level, you'll be looking over into what's next. You'll be looking at new possibilities and new endeavors to try to overcome. So that's why I say to a lot of people who are trying to work harder again, to work on goals that focus more on the journey and the transformation that you'll undergo in the journey. Take my recent weight loss journey as an example here. I could have easily said, okay, I won't be satisfied until I'm a set weight, like 220 pounds. But on the other hand, I made my goal more process-oriented. I wanted to eat healthier. I wanted to track my macros diligently. And I wanted to find ways to burn calories consistently in a way that I enjoy. And throughout this entire process, I still really enjoy weightlifting and I still really enjoy basketball. So now that my body is getting back to where it used to be, I just enjoy those things even more because I need less rest days in between, I'm less sore in between, and I can go harder and have even more fun with longer sessions. So when you're setting goals, make sure to set your success criteria and the way you're going to feel gratification and happiness and fulfillment more around the journey and the process and the things that you're gonna gain along the way versus the one checkpoint that you need to hit at the end of the journey to feel satisfied. Find the little things in the journey that feel good, and you'll inherently want to work harder as a result. I know a lot of people talk about habits, building habits, and doing things consistently to the point where it becomes second nature. But a lot of people don't really talk about how you actually get to that point. Like the first point that I said, you need to prove yourself to yourself first. You can't just jump into something like this, because if you're someone that isn't used to routine, that doesn't just have a bunch of healthy habits already, who are you to say that you're going to just pick this one up right off the bat? You need to show that you have that level of consistency. So for me, I try to do this with staging the wins. So let's go back to the working out example. If I know that I want to build up to the point where I'm going to the gym 5, even 6 days a week, I'm not going to start there because it's a recipe for disaster right off the bat. I know that there are going to be days where I'm sore, that I'm going to be extra tired because I'm getting into a new routine. So you need to give yourself some leeway in the beginning. That's why I'll say to someone to just start with 3 weeks of dedication, where you count dedication as being just 3 days a week at the gym. So you have the opportunity to even miss more days than you do. Then you can set a goal of like 5 days a week, where if you hit that, you'll be extra ecstatic, but 3 days is still a win. The consistency here will snowball to the point where it becomes second nature. You'll get used to those 3 days a week, 3 days a week, 3 days a week. And as you get more comfortable, as you gain that trust within yourself that you can actually show up to these things, you'll just want to do more. And it'll become much easier to tack on an extra day and then tack on an extra day. And before you know it, you'll be going to the gym 5 to 6 days a week because you want to and not because you forced yourself to. So this tip is just creating habits for success. I mentioned this a bit earlier, but time is the most valuable asset we have because it's something that we can't get back and it's something that we can't directly buy. As a result, the moments of my life where I'm feeling the best is when I'm optimizing the things that add value to my life and the people that add value to my life. So if you're in a point in your life where you're not feeling productive or you don't feel like working hard, evaluate where you're spending your time. And I'm not saying that you have to be grinding 100% of the time and putting in work and working on side projects and working and only working out, because rest is value adding as well, because rest stops you from burning out. I'm talking about activities that you're impartial for but take up a decent amount of time a week. I'm talking about people who are in your life but you're the one consistently giving in that relationship and you're not receiving anything back. So this tip is just to quit the non-value adding aspects of your life and focus on the things that are adding and contributing to your growth. They say you're the average of your 5 closest friends. It's very easy for their way of life, their thinking, and their beliefs to subconsciously affect yours. If you're around people who get home from their 9 to 5 and turn on Netflix until midnight, that's what you'll think is normal. If you're around people who are consistently starting new side hustles, working on bettering themselves by going to the gym consistently, and living more healthy lifestyles, that's what you're going to consider normal. It really depends on your environment. So for me, a big focus in my life has been to nourish the relationships with value adders and reduce the relationships of emotional drainers. It kind of links to the last point I made in terms of not putting your time and energy into the people that aren't giving you value in your life. But this is just taking it a step further to make sure to nourish the relationships with the people that do add value to your life. Because the more you foster an environment that is conducive to growth and learning and working hard, the more you'll just want to work hard as a result. I feel like before I made this YouTube channel, I did pretty well with working hard. I got into the places that I wanted to for college, and I did well in school. But I think it was when I started this YouTube channel when everything started to click. And I think it's because I had outside sources of accountability. Because at that point, I wasn't just letting myself down when I didn't follow through with things that I would say. I was letting all my subscribers down, all my followers down, and the people that have been following along down. A lot of the times we're our harshest critics, but we're also the first to provide excuses and justifications for anything negative that happens in our lives. So accountability is another huge way to just work harder in everything that you do, because the simple act of letting someone else know your goals has you think about things a different way, has you look at things in a different light, and has you striving just that little bit more to actually get what you wanted to do done. So if you're trying to work harder than 99% of the people out there, just get accountability by sharing your goals with other people. One of the biggest downfalls that people have when trying to work hard is that they're working hard on what seems to be a treadmill, because there's no real tangible checkpoints and there's no real substantial goals and success criteria. Earlier, I talked about having the journey be a bigger part of what the success criteria even is. But if you have no success criteria to begin with, you'll have no idea where to put your efforts. So before you're trying to just start working hard again, you need to make it clear what you actually want to achieve. If you're trying to be financially independent, figure out what financial independence even means for you. Does that mean you need 2 million in the bank or 10 million in the bank? And those different answers will shift your mindset and shift the way you move in your life to go towards the goals you actually have. But also make sure, again, to celebrate your wins and reward yourself when you do reach those goals. And those don't have to be just the end goals. So if you're trying to end up with $10 million in the bank, don't make 10 million the first time you actually celebrate any sort of wins. You might have to start with being debt-free and then having your first 100,000 and your first million and go on from there, because success is a form of momentum that you can consistently build upon in your life. So make sure to create tangible and specific goals and success criteria. Naturally, people are driven by patterns. Our brains give us signals of fear and anxiety based on our past experiences. With burnout, the effects aren't as explicit as touching a hot pan as a kid. I was someone who aimed to complete every goal I set for myself as fast as humanly possible. If I needed to take all-nighters, I did. If I needed to work through lunch, I did. I was someone that was okay neglecting my physical and mental health while continuing to pile on more and more stress until I literally couldn't handle it anymore. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, my overwhelming stress caused me to contract 2 autoimmune kidney diseases, and it took almost 3 years for my body to not only recover physically, but also mentally from the patterns I created in my head. I now get stressed about getting too stressed because I had created a clear pattern in my head that if I get too stressed, I can get myself very, very sick. All this to say is that burnout won't just hurt you in the short term always. Burnout can also have lasting effects that prevent you from working hard in the future. Work hard at a pace that's healthy and sustainable. Create the pattern of hard work, leading to fulfilled journeys of personal growth. And the main point of this tip is to just rest to avoid burnout and acknowledge the signs in your life that are telling you to just take a break. Because those little breaks in progress will be a lot less detrimental to you and to your health than you getting sick and being out for longer periods of time will. With this next tip, before I get into anything, I want to mention that you don't always have to be in a growth mindset. If you're happy with where you currently are in life, there's no need to work any harder than you actually are right now. But if you do want to grow as a person in one way or another, you have to actually believe that you can. If not, you'll just tell yourself, I knew I'd fail, every time you run into any roadblock or challenging scenario. I think having a growth mindset where you actually believe that you have room to grow as an individual is as important as anything that I talk about in this video. Because at the end of the day, if you don't believe you can do it, there's no chance that you do. It's like if someone tells me that they believe they can be a millionaire one day, I do also think they have a chance. But if they tell me that there's no way that they can become one, I know for a fact that they never will, because that foundation of belief is just not there. Just like companies have values and mission statements, you should create your definition of what your why means to you, to guide your decisions that you make in your life. What I mean by this is to answer questions like, why do I do what I do? Who am I working hard for? What people do I hope feel the benefits of my success? I think when you answer these questions and define what life truly means to you, you'll be able to center yourself whenever you feel like you may be getting off track. You'll get this extra kick of motivation in moments where you feel like you just don't feel like doing anything. And you'll also feel that extra bit of happiness and fulfillment when you do succeed, because now you'll have more people and more reasons to do the things that you're doing. Without a why, it's easy to be unfocused in your life's many pursuits, and in turn, it's easy to default to just not working towards your goals. And that's why the last tip that I have for this video is to just substantiate your why. Because ultimately, your why is why you even want to work hard in the first place and why you clicked this video to begin with. So now let's get a bit into the science. According to Dr. Sidney Cerruto's article, The Neuroscience of Motivation, dopamine is the secret to hard work. When we engage in a task and complete it after a long, intensive day of hard work, our brains release this neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is also known as the pleasure chemical. This chemical primarily deals with motivation and satisfaction after achieving. But recent research tells us that people who are low achievers can find a way to become high achievers if they find a way to rewire the way that our brains ration out dopamine release after engaging in tasks. So this science really just ties up nicely with the things that I was mentioning today. By giving yourself set checkpoints along the way where you can celebrate your wins and actually have moments where you feel like you're accomplishing something, you can release dopamine over the course of your journey and not just at the end. This way, you'll feel rewarded for even trying to do what you're trying to do. You'll be rewarded chemically and internally for just working hard. And I think that's really the secret to everyone who is successful in your eyes. They work hard because it's fun. They want to keep bettering themselves and they want to keep seeing what it is that they can succeed in. They've almost gotten addicted to how the dopamine makes them feel inside, and they want to keep chasing that even if they keep blowing past any goal that they set for themselves. But yeah, that's all I had to talk about today. Let me know in the comment section what part of this video you resonated with the most, and check out these videos if you want to see more. As always, stay positive, stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next one.